morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get into this movie about a 3D printed human being. Mickey 17 is the name of the movie. It's kind of a sci-fi, I don't know what you call it. It's not really a comedy, but let me give you the backdrop of this movie. The movie centers around Mickey, who finds himself on hard times after he fails to pay a debt to some shady people. This is Mickey here inside of the 3D printing machine. And so Mickey's only option at this point is to essentially go on a space mission to another planet. And he signs up for a role in which he is expendable. In other words, there's some kind of new technology that they've come up with, and they're able to use Mickey in precarious situations, almost like a robot, right? Because this is what's going on with the robots now. And all they got to do is print him back over again. The difference is he can explain to them the moments before and leading up to his death, and everyone's fascinated with what it's like to actually die. So throughout the film, they're like asking him all these questions. What's it like to die? Now, here's the weird thing. He doesn't even realize it. He's getting on the spacecraft and that he's really expendable. He doesn't understand the full scope of what his job's going to be. They don't really tell him too many details. And then he realizes he has become the subject of a new technology, 3D printing humans after each time he's killed. And they simply just download his consciousness into a new 3D printed body. Now, this film released on February 13th on Lupercalia, and then again in the United States on March 7th. And I believe that all of this kind of fits into what this movie's all about. We're going to break this down. Now, I've got some clips for you. In the film, essentially, they make it look like they don't want to use the 3D human printing technology, but there's this ship, like I said, this expedition to another planet, and it's funded by a billionaire. Now, there are lots and lots of metaphors, and I think they did this intentionally, as you'll see. This billionaire is a cross between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And we'll get into those clips in a second here, but essentially, Mickey is dehumanized, and his existence is trivialized. He's essentially treated like a test subject or an inanimate object. Now, the guy you're going to see next is the financier of the trip, and it's his whole project. It's so much like Elon Musk and Trump, who are talking about going to Mars and beyond, right? Using our tax dollars. And you're going to hear the billionaire explain how 3D printing humans, he literally admits that it's the work of the devil. Yet, they're still going to use the technology. Let's take a look, you guys.
I've been contemplating how can we use this abomination for our common economic benefit. However, human printing is a sin. Multiples are Satan's work. I propose multiples. In the case of multiples, we exterminate every offending individual, limiting such individuals to one per expedition, per planet, under the designation expendable. A trial run of human printing far from Earth under the strictest oversight.
On this Niflheim expedition.
Now, let me go back into the chat, because what does this remind you of? What does this remind you of them literally admitting that the technology that is emerging is a work of the devil, yet they're going to think that they can control it and use it for good? Let me go back into the chat and see what your guys' thoughts are on this before we move on. I'll give you a minute to respond. But what is the same exact argument being used right now as we speak? You guys, these movies literally script out the future. They always have and always will. Desensitizing people to what they already know they're going to do. Okay, I'm in the chat. They're using human brain cells now, processing computing power. You can buy one for around 35 grand. AI summoning the devil. Amber nailed it. Good job, Amber. Yes, this whole artificial intelligence, we've heard Elon Musk talk about it. They pretend like they want to regulate it, but then when it comes down to it, they don't regulate it at all. Hence yesterday's show, in which we were showing you how artificial intelligence now is seeping into everything. We don't even know it's real anymore. They have fake YouTube channels now. And honestly, I could not tell the difference. It looked real to me. And, you know, when you know it's an AI, that's different. But imagine entire channels being seamlessly integrated into YouTube. I don't think most people would be able to know the difference. I think most people would be fooled unless you already know it's an AI. We want to think we can't be fooled yet, but I think that they have the technology now. Imagine 10 years ago. And of course you could tell the difference then if you were looking closely. But now it's only going to get better and better and better. So Amber is absolutely correct. The essentially what's going on is that they are talking about this in the same way that they're talking about artificial intelligence. They're pretending to be able to wield it in a good way, right? In a positive way. We're going to, hey, they want us to believe that AI is neutral. But they always talk about the potential for dark uses of it. But as long as we control it, then everything's okay. And this is how most people believe. Like if you talk to people in your life that aren't in our truth community, and you just ask them a flat question about artificial intelligence, they will say exactly that because they've been programmed to say that. They'll say, oh, artificial intelligence has such great potential. And and the only thing that matters is how we use it, whether we use it for good or use it for evil. This is what people will say. Whereas we here in the truth community, we know where artificial intelligence originated from. It's essentially the curtain that covers the devil himself, as he's behind the curtain on the controls, just like the Wizard of Oz. You never see him, but he is behind the curtain, and he uses artificial intelligence as his smokescreen so that you don't know that it's evil. You just think it's, neutral, but it's actually absolutely a work of the devil. Now, let's keep going here. This is crazy. The expedition is called, they go to a planet called Niflheim. And we all know what Niflheim is. It's Nephilim. And to confirm this, basically the billionaire starts talking about a master race and how he's going to colonize Niflheim with pure blood and all these things. This is insane. Let's keep watching.
Strictest oversight.
On this Niflheim expedition, all multiples will immediately be arrested, executed, and permanently deleted.
Now, they pretend, they actually justify advancing this cloning technology by pretending to place these strict rules on it. One such rule you just heard, they said only one clone is, permitted per spacecraft. And multiple versions of the same person are forbidden, so you can only print one at a time. And so this is how they get around it. And I anticipate that with artificial intelligence, it will be the same thing. They will pretend as though they're putting rules on it, but essentially it's going to be the beginning of the end for humanity. And let's keep watching here.
In totality, mind and body, all for the sake of public service.
Take a look at your screen. Can you see? Do you have eyes to see? What are you looking at on your screen right now? Let's go back into the chat. Now, all this is intentional. These are little clues, little disclosures. Some of it's gaslighting to, try to get us all excited. Other parts of it is sorcery and black magic and ritual to pass their agenda. What did you guys see there? Some saw Wi-Fi. Yeah, it's Wi-Fi, but what else is it? Wi-Fi, yes. Yes, Wi-Fi, but I saw something a little bit different. It is a Wi-Fi, but it's also... Let's see who gets the answer. I'll tell you in a second here. Let's go back to it here. You see the ball over here on the wall? That would be a pyramid with all-seeing eye on top, right? If you were to flip this 90 degrees sideways to the left, that's what you would see, and it's absolutely also a Wi-Fi signal. Now, let's get into the rest of this. As I said, throughout the movie, the billionaire repeats over and over again that he wants to build a master race, and the crew is carefully selected. And next, we're going to get a clue about how this future might come about. Artificial insemination and vitro fertilization is also a theme in this movie. Let's watch.
In their artificially inseminated baby embryos.
You really are the perfect candidate for Niflheim's natural child birthing program, aren't you, dear?
In case you had any questions, right? I mean, this is also a tenet of Trump. He's called himself now the father of IVF, in vitro fertilization, which is exactly what the theme of this is. The theme of this movie, they're clearly channeling the current administration. Now, some people might think, oh, they're just picking on Trump again. Well, we found stuff like this going back decades, long before Trump was ever president. They were already kind of talking about him with these same themes running through. It's almost as if they all knew. Now, Trump did say he was the chosen one, and so maybe that's what this is all about. Now, at this point, the crew finally reaches the planet Niflheim, and Mickey is sent out on these expeditions, because remember, he's expendable, to make sure it's safe. In one instance, he breathes in the air for the first time, and they find out there's this virus, and he keeps dying over and over and over again until they finally come up with a vaccine. Mickey then falls through a crevice, and he's left for dead, except he doesn't die. But they think he's dead, so back at the base, they have him reprinted again, download all his thoughts, which of course breaks the rules of multiples. Oddly, when his new self, Mickey 18, is printed, it's a dark side version of Mickey. Lo and behold, the 18th copy, the 6 plus 6 plus 6th copy of Mickey, is a dark side version of himself, a murderous Mickey. You guys, this is everything we've been talking about. Doppelgangers. The first 6 generations of man being twins from Cain and Seth's bloodline. Niflheim. Let's take a look, you guys. Now, I get a lot of pushback from, we'll call them mainstream big box Christians, who, because they didn't hear it from the pulpit, they can't wrap their brain around this. But here is one of our most powerful discoveries I think we've ever made on this channel that breaks wide open the war between the two seeds talked about in Genesis. One of the first prophecies in the Bible, spoken by God himself, who said, there shall be war between, enmity between her seed, the seed of the woman, and the seed of the serpent. And of course, the rest is, as they say, history, because the enmity played out throughout the entire Bible. If you read carefully, you will see that 2 separate bloodlines are battling each other all throughout history. Even Jesus called them out, calling them the synagogue of Satan, of their father, the devil. Here's the proof right here. And if you were to go to any pastor, if you want to double check my work on this, go to your pastor and you'll blow his mind. Because on each side, there are 6. Now, of course, Abel was killed. Adam here at the top. But in Genesis, Cain's bloodline is listed separately from Adam's. Now, if you don't understand the significance of that, go back into the Bible and you will read. They don't ever do that with genealogies. This is the only time it supposedly happened, and I'm going to tell you why it happened. In the Bible, the father is listed with all of his children, not separately. And you'll know this if you read your Bible. If you really think about it, you'll realize this. You'll be like, oh, you're right, Casey. They don't list separate bloodline. They don't list a son under the father separately from the father. They never do that. But the people that don't believe in these two bloodlines, they want you to believe that this was the only time in the Bible that this happened. But if you look back in Genesis, you'll see Cain's bloodline listed and then Adam's. And Cain is not listed in Adam's bloodline. Let me say that again. Cain is not listed in Adam's bloodline. So what does this mean? Well, now you can really blow your pastor's mind, because as soon as we get this split where Cain is listed separately from Adam's bloodline, from the point of Seth, which of course was Adam's son, compared to Cain, we get this bizarre doubling of the names. The names are almost identical. What are you talking about, Casey? Well, we did an acrostic on this. We did several shows on this, but still, people want to attack. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, I'm showing you the proof. There were two Jareds, Jared and Irid. There were two Cains, Cain and Canaan. All you got to do is connect the dots. There were two Enochs, Enoch, on the different bloodlines. Mahujael is Mahalaleel, and Methusael is Methuselah. There's also two Lamechs, one on each side. There are 6 and 6. That's 66. And this is the oldest origin of the number 66. This must be where it came from. This twinning aspect. Now, what does this mean? It means that in some way, these two bloodlines are connected but disconnected, is what it means. And of course, we know that everyone on Cain's side was evil and everyone on God's side was pure or good. And maybe this is why God told Cain that sin is crouching at the door. There was something different about Cain. And God knew this, that he was predisposed to sin. Now, the rest of why this happened, I don't really know, because I wasn't there in the garden. But Satan did something to Cain's bloodline when Cain became the first murderer. His father, the devil. So Mickey has a dark twin. Let's go back here. Mickey has a dark twin, and his dark twin essentially separates from him. They try to keep the charade going, but they have to keep it down low because, again, their multiples are not allowed. So as soon as people figure out that there are two of them walking around, one of them has to die, right? So the regular Mickey, Mickey 17, gets invited to the Billionaires for dinner. And they give him this big, red, juicy, fat steak that they 3D printed out of a 3D printer. Except they infused it with a new drug that they wanted to test. Now, this next sequence should help people wake up to what happened during COVID. Watch.
The cultured meat that he just ate includes an experimental growth hormone. Obviously, it's still risky. I'm so very sorry, sir.
Commander? So you were testing out your in-flight TV dinner on him?
In-flight TV dinner?
Apologies.
So they gave him an experimental drug, and then they're like, oh, well, we can fix it. We'll just give him another experimental drug to fix the mistake we made. Watch.
Sir, this is embarrassing. No, not quite, sir. You see the red rash on his neck. It's a side effect of the growth hormone.
You sure it's not because he was eating so much he was stuffing his friggin' pile?
I'm so ashamed. I take full responsibility and resign my position immediately.
How are we supposed to improve it unless we fail upward to perfection?
How are we supposed to improve it until we fail upwards to perfection? This is how they see us. Expendable experiments, all for the greater good of mankind, but really it's to advance their aspirations of trying to live forever.
No. Arkady, stand tall in your failures like me, my friend.
Since Mickey here is in such awful pain, it's a perfect opportunity to try a little test, so give it to him. Great, all right.
The one and only.
And you need to see scenes like that to really put things in perspective, to really understand the truth about our reality. I hate to show you guys those scenes, but until you see that, it doesn't hit home. This is exactly what just happened, you guys. We had a VidCo-19 quote-unquote cure. And then all this cancer starts coming out. I'm not saying what caused it. You can connect the dots. And now all of a sudden we're going to use Stargate AI to cure cancers. Now, next, this billionaire starts exhibiting Elvis-like persona as he introduces a black rock as his cornerstone of the new world on Niflheim. This is creepy. Now, there's a channel that's done a lot of work, and I'm just going to take the high road here on this, even though this channel hates my guts and does negative videos on us every chance he gets. He was the one who discovered the similarities between Trump and Elvis. So I'm taking the high road and giving the credit where the credit is due. His name is Jurassic Liars. Now, when you go over there, you'll probably see a bunch of negative stuff about this channel, but you can express to the person that, you know, we're not here to take anyone's work. This is what's going on. Okay. Now let's take a look.
Pure colony planet, the one and only Niflheim. Every single one of you will be remembered throughout history as the proud founders of Niflheim's first generation. Beautiful, shimmering purity. This rock will become the symbolic monument of Niflheim. Our cornerstone, Black Diamond.
Now, that was insane, right? The whole Elvis persona and the black rock, the cornerstone of the Nephilim. I hope things are becoming clear, you guys, because these same themes have been repeating throughout dozens of decodes that we've done. Now, next, the Dark Mickey. This is the Dark Mickey here with the gun. He becomes enraged with the billionaire for the way he treats the meek Mickey, and he hatches a plot to assassinate him. He grabs a gun, except he misses. And what do you think happens next? Let's go back into the chat and see what you guys think happens next. Remember, think of the archetype characters and what they represent. What do you think happens next? This is insane. Literally insane. Okay, I'm in the chat. Wow. What do you think happens next? Yeah, the Elvis thing was creepy, right? Yeah, Jurassic Liars was one of the first channels who discovered the whole Elvis thing. We did a video on the Elvis thing, but I intentionally did not watch his decode, even though I'd heard about it when we did our decode. So we found some different things, and apparently that set him off. He became very upset with his channel and started doing a lot of negative videos about us. But that's okay. I'm still giving him the credit. All right. So what do you think happens next, you guys? Head wound. Yes, Pocahontas got it. Good job. Okay, let's go back here. Except it's a graze to the face, just like what happened to Trump. Now, it doesn't hit his ear, but let's watch here. You can't make this up. Grazes him, except it's on the left ear instead of the right ear.
Read the back.
Now, next, we get a weird Osiris connection. And, of course, we all know Osiris is essentially a Niflheim, right? And here's what happens in this scene. One of Mickey's friends sells him out to another billionaire who's willing to pay to have Mickey cut up into 13 pieces, just like Osiris. I think Osiris was like 14 pieces. But the billionaire wants to have him chopped up so that he can observe how he dies, because everyone's fascinated with seeing how Mickey dies.
It says chop up into a minimum of 13 pieces.
Chop up.
You see it?
What the fuck is this?
Video file that captures the details of death.
Wow, crazy, right? Now, there's a subplot to the movie. When they first arrive on the planet, they discover these peaceful mole-like creatures. They're like these massive mole-like creatures, kind of look like a worm or something, or a mole. But the billionaire, he wants to exterminate them anyway. He wants them out of the way so he could populate his new planet, his new ice planet. And you can't help but sense a Native American vibe to this next scene and what we did to the Native Americans when we arrived in America. Watch.
You call them aliens? We're the aliens, dumbass! They were living here before us! And Mickey!
We're gonna have you see the mama creeper stir. We'll start slowly circling the creature.
Now, the billionaire goes out to exterminate the creatures, right? They have some weapon. And every move of the billionaire is documented by a camera crew and a handler. This guy on his left is his handler. He's feeding him the script lines, and there's a camera crew following him around. He's so full of himself that he wants everything recorded and perfectly scripted. He loves being in front of the camera. He'll literally stop what he's about to do to make sure the cameras are on. And as they advance on these creatures, this handler is whispering in his ear. He's like a producer or a director, scripting out his every actions. Let's back this up a little bit so you can hear the dialogue here, because this is important.
We're gonna have you see the mama creeper stir. We'll start slowly circling the creature.
Keep my speech short, tight. A marvelous address, no need to edit. And then I blow up the Mickey.
That'll be the cue to begin your final speech. The other camera will track alongside you from the outside, making the scene absolutely spectacular, sir.
Making the scene absolutely spectacular. So, does this remind you of someone? Of course it does, right? Now, Trump, basically, his excuse of being on camera so much is because, for the first time in history, Americans have more access to the president than ever before. But really, it's about the ego, right? Really, it's about the ego. It's about being in front of the camera and getting all the glory and fame, because he brags about all of his accomplishments every chance he gets, right? Now, I'm not going to spoil the ending of this movie for you. It was a really tough movie to watch because, as you could see, the acting was horrific. It was a terribly made movie, and it was just silly on its face and pretty boring. But I'm still not going to spoil the ending for you. But I have one last final thought. Remember, the movie's called Mickey 17, and Why do you think they chose the number 17 and 18 as the numbers of the last Mickeys? Let's see who gets the answer. Now, I think we did a whole video on the Mickey's beer, malt liquor. What was it? The logo. I believe we found 666 in the Mickey's logo. Look, this is where they got us here too. This is what they do every single day. As soon as I stop talking, lands us on 666. That's called the algorithms messing with us, isn't it? Yeah, 17 is Q. And then, of course, 18 is 666. Pretty wild, right? Now let's go to this Mickey's logo. Let's end the show with this. Mickey's beer logo. Did we find... Oh, it's the B. That's right. It's not a 666, but it's the B. The stinger. Wow. Yeah, there was a time where we did a lot of decodes on logos and labels and things. Pretty wild, right, you guys? So... yeah, our live shows, every single show for the past 3 years, and that's the dead giveaway, right? For 3 years, every day we've had to endure YouTube gaslighting us with 666 viewers every single day. That's not normal. Our channel should have grown by then, right? There should be 1,200 people watching, but this is how you know everything is faked and scripted and controlled. They literally throttle channels down so that they never become mainstream. Because if people saw these videos, it could actually change something, right? They would lose control. And they spend way too much money keeping control, so they can't ever allow things to go out of control. They can't allow certain voices to kind of rise to the top. All right. Mickey, yeah. Now, what do you think about the name Mickey? Were there any things that you guys picked up on from the name Mickey? Because I didn't really pick up on anything. Let's see here. Oh, now tomorrow we're going to have some headlines, animal attacks, all kinds of crazy stuff popping off in the headlines. So tomorrow will be a headline show. I'll put links to today's show in the pinned comment. There are also several states that are trying to introduce bills to literally block the smack scene. There are actually states trying to block it, outlaw it in their state. So, Yeshua HaMashiach says wicked equals Mickey. Oh, that's a good one. He slipped her a Mickey Mouse. Yeah, because Mickey is like probably one of the most recognizable images. He's cloned everywhere, right? Yeah, the song. There's that song of Mickey. Wonder what the name Mick means. Let's take a look. Mick. Name meaning. Because I know it's short. It's probably short for Mitchell. Oh, Michael. The name Mick is diminutive shortened form of the Hebrew name Michael, who is like God. Oh, wow. So there you go. So it's their version of God, which is the colonial aspect, immortal, right? So it's Mickey. Wow, that is insane. All right. Cut me, Mick. Yeah, that was from Rocky. Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rooney. Mick Jagger. The devil. Yep. All right, you guys, I'm going to pop off here. We'll be back in the headlines tomorrow. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Much love, everybody. Take care.